Everybody, and welcome to a new game news roundup, or should I say a game sales roundup. There we go. That's how I should put it. So yeah, if you missed it, I think I recorded a video on this a long time ago. I say a long time ago, back in March. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan, on the last day of his job, right before he retired, in an episode of PlayStation Podcast, said that the PS2 sold 160 million units lifetime. His direct quote back in March was the 2000s. That would be, I would say, 160 million, which is the number of PS2s we sold. A high watermark. That's what he said back then. Obviously, people were wondering, is he rounding up? Is he rounding down? What are the exact figures? And if you don't know, for the longest time, the last figure we really got confirmed from Sony was over 155 million shipped as of March 2012, but the console wasn't discontinued until 2013. So how much did it sell after this number? 160 million. Sony has confirmed PS2 sold over 160 million lifetime. If you're wondering, there was a range based on, for a while there, they were combining PS2 and PS3 sales. So then at some point they eventually gave PS3 sales, and you did some math and stuff. There was a general range of where the PS2 was. It was between like about 158.8 million to 161.8 million. That was the range. It was pretty much accurate given the available data that was released years and years ago. And now Sony has confirmed it has sold over 160 million units lifetime, meaning the range, I guess you could say, is between 160 million and 161.8 million. However, given the facts, if you're wondering where they said this, they released a new page here as part of the 30th anniversary of PlayStation, which is next week. I want to say it's next week. The 30th anniversary of the launch of the original PlayStation in Japan is next week. So they released a new website, and on the PS2 tab, we can see right here, PS2 is one of the biggest selling video game consoles of all time. I mean, in reality, it is currently number one, but we'll see where the Switch ends up. But yeah, with over 160 million consoles sold worldwide since 2000. And given they provided other numbers, PS1 had over 102 million, but we know that's at 102.49 million. The PS2 made over 160 million. PSP, they have it over 80 million. PS3 over 87 million, which we know is at 87.4 million. PS4 over 117 million, which we know is most likely at 117.2 million lifetime. Which generally likely means them saying PS2 over 160 million. The range is most likely between 160 million and 160.99 million. Say 160 million and 1 units and 160 million 999,999. So below 161 million. It's most likely where its range is for the PS2, 160 to 161 million. Most likely, potentially, theoretical max 161.8 million, but below 162 million. But again, see what you think. This is just my thoughts of where it's likely to have sold lifetime. And yeah, and again, it's still the best-selling video game console of all time currently. I don't think it's a coincidence they announced this now. They reveal these numbers now as the Nintendo Switch is creeping up. It is creeping up on the PS2. The Switch, shipment-wise, as of September 30th, topped 146 million units. They did, at the time, they lowered their forecast by 1 million units for the current fiscal year, which ends March 31st, 2025, to 12.5 million, down from 13.5 million. And if they are able to reach and hit their 12.5 million units shipped by March 31st, that means another 7.78 million units shipped for the rest of the fiscal year, which would bring the Switch shipment total to 153.82 million units at the end of March of next year. And then obviously see how much longer it keeps on. And then at that point, you're talking about, you need to say 161.8 million is the max. 8 million away. It needs to sell another 8 million to definitely confirm to have outsold the PS2. Will it do that? There's a good chance, but you never know with Nintendo. They are going to announce the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Most people say the Switch 2, but obviously we don't know the actual name. By the end of its current fiscal year, again by March of next year, they will unveil the Switch 2. And I'm sure it'll be coming out shortly thereafter. And there's been a recent rumor that that Nintendo will unveil the Nintendo Switch 2 in January, and it'll come out in March. So at that point, Switch 1 sales will probably drop, but then again, the Switch 2 will probably be more expensive. Maybe we'll finally get a price drop on the Switch 1. I don't know. It's possible. And then from there, 8 million units to be shipped and sold after the Switch 2 launches is theoretically definitely possible. So we'll see. So keep an eye on VG charts and the latest numbers provided from Nintendo. But yeah, I just thought I'd create this little video here going over the fact that yes, it has been confirmed the PS2 is over 160 million. I know some people are saying, oh, they keep upping the numbers for the PS2s. I mean, they're going to do 165 million when the Switch passes 160 million. I'd say no. The max, as I said, the max theoretically is 161.8 million, but most likely the max is just below 161 million. So it's probably not that much above 160 million, given what they said for the other consoles, being rounded to the nearest million, for sure. So, yeah. Also, yeah, they provided no sales data given for the PlayStation Vita or the PlayStation 5, but obviously the PlayStation 5 is still selling. And the PlayStation Vita, well, it sold so badly, they're not willing to tell us how much it sold, which, it isn't a lot, to say the least. And now that the PS2 is sold, confirmed a bit over 160 million, that actually lowers how the theoretical max that the PlayStation Vita has sold. Because in, it was July or August 2018, Sony revealed the total number of PlayStations sold, every PlayStation combined. Yeah. So that means the PS2 being higher in that total will lower the PlayStation Vita, as we know the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 sales at the time. And PSP, we generally had a decent idea. So yeah, PS Vita, we're talking 12, 13 million-ish, maybe 14 million lifetime. I gotta go through all the numbers, our numbers, and I'll admit, I do have to adjust the estimates for the PlayStation Vita on VG charts. We definitely have it a little bit too high. So yeah, over the coming days, and maybe, hopefully over the next coming days, I will get that figured out, squared and figured out, and get to a point where we can get the PlayStation Vita estimates on the site a bit more accurate than they are now, as Sony pretty much has never really disclosed much in the way of how much the PS Vita has sold. So, yeah. And then obviously the PS5 is still selling and on the market. And if you are wondering, for the PS5, shipment-wise, it is currently at 65.5 million units shipped as of September 2024, based on the quarterly sales or shipment data every quarter that they release. So that Sony releases. Obviously, I know on here it says, where is it? Over 65 million on here for their shipment figure. But if you add up all of the quarters, it adds up to 65.5 million for the PS5. And obviously that is still going. We'll see where that ends up over the next coming years before it's discontinued and every unit is sold. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And obviously with our own estimates here on VG charts. And obviously there's always a gap between sell-through and shipped until a console is done selling and every unit is sold. As you can see, while we have the Switch currently estimated sell-through at 144.3 million at the end of October, or as of November 2nd. PS5 at 63.58 million, and the Series X and S at 30.44 million. So we recently had the Xbox Series consoles passing 30 million, which is a little under half of what the PS5 has sold. But yeah, the main focus here is Sony finally confirming PS2 has sold over 160 million. It only took them a decade. Over a decade? Oh, sorry. And it's only taken Sony over... I'm sorry, why did I say over a decade? It was discontinued in early 2013. It only took them 12 years, pretty much, at this point, to finally confirm the PS2 sold over 160 million units. Better late than never, but here we are. And another thing to note, I know it's not about sales figures, but it is PlayStation related, the last of one of the original guard, as you could say, at Sony Interactive Entertainment at PlayStation is leaving. Shuhei Yoshida is leaving PlayStation on January 15th, 2025. He announced this in a new Q&A posted on the PlayStation blog. So yeah, his direct quote, "Yes, I have an announcement to make. I'm leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment on January 15th, 2025. It's like announcing the launch date of a new game, something I haven't done for a long time, perhaps, yeah. He's been working at PlayStation since the early days, one of the first members. He's been there since February 20, it's been so far back, yeah, since February 1993, so 31 years. Pretty much 32 years when he does leave. I'd say retire, but actually, no. He's not going to retire. On Twitter, he was asking, like, "Oh my god, you're not retiring, are you?" And actually, he responded, "No, I'd like to stay in the industry." So it sounds like Yoshida maybe take a little bit of time off, but he's gonna maybe find some work at some other developer, publisher, in the video game industry. Who knows? Who could it be? I mean, who knows? Maybe he's gonna go to Nintendo or Xbox in Japan. Okay, probably not, but you never know. Who knows where he'll want to go? But currently, if you don't know, he's currently the head of the Indies initiative at PlayStation. So maybe he's going to do something more related to sticking with indie games rather than going to some big publisher. But we'll see what he ends up doing. Maybe he'll form his own new company doing indie stuff. An indies publisher. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I just thought I'd quickly mention that as well. And as always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. So you get, and also, feel free to turn on the notification, the bell or something if you want. No worries if you don't. Not a big deal, but obviously stay tuned for more future videos going over the latest gaming news, bigger gaming news that I find interesting enough to do videos on. Gaming sales for sure, like this big announcement here. And other gaming industry information. So yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time for another game news / sales roundup.